Hello, found footage fans, and welcome to We Found a Tape. We're a podcast dedicated to all things found footage. Shaky cams, paranormal sightings, and everything with an authentic edge to make it all feel real. My name's John.
And I'm David.
And join us as we hit play and uncover what lies beyond the tape. Welcome everyone to another episode of We Found a Tape. On today's episode, we're going to be doing our Found TV Blind Watch special, where we pick some movies from Found TV, we spin a wheel, and the wheel decides the movie we watch. This month's pick is Deadware from 2021.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But first, you guys probably saw recently we released a new series on our channel called Tape Talks, which is a special that we have where we dedicate the time to speak with filmmakers and creators from the found footage genre. On the first episode, we had a great conversation with Bart Courtwright and Eugene Kotlyrenko from The Code and of Spree. That was a great time, something that we were really excited to be involved in. It kind of got our creative juices flowing, and we sort of came up with the idea of having like a special series. We thought it'd be a great idea just to have like another outlet to be able to speak with filmmakers and talk about the creation process and the making of, and something you don't really see too often unless you get like the bonus features on a DVD or whatnot. But
right.
Yeah, we thought that'd be a great idea. And it really stemmed from that interview with Eugene. It just was a great inspiration for us. So, we hope you guys enjoyed it. I made a, silly little intro to kind of...
Hey, talks!
Yeah, to kind of break the ice a little bit and make it a bit more silly. But yeah, no, definitely let us know your thoughts on it. We had a great time chatting with Eugene, and we've got a lot more coming. It kind of ties in perfectly with today's sort of theme of screenlife, which Deadware is a screenlife movie. That's the type of found footage genre that this really is a part of. Right off the bat, it was done pretty well. It was made by Isaac Rodriguez, who's made a number of found footage movies, most notably Mr. Creep, Unknown Visitor, and plenty of others. He also has one just came out on Found called Visher, which is quite an interesting watch. A lot of his style is screen life oriented, so it's definitely much more of a common thing these days because the world has evolved to be almost like a screen life found footage at all times.
If you were living in a found footage movie, what style would you live?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think a screen life would probably be cool. Mine would probably be like a mockumentary, like something out in the woods, or like a creepy park or something.
Yeah, that would be mine. Definitely a mockumentary where they find my body face down, ass up in the woods, stinking like dirty ass hair. Bigfoot.
Little Bigfoot.
Little Bigfoot.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, that would definitely be one of my type of found footage films for sure, man. Yeah, there'd probably be some weird shit happening, but that'd be a good time for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably end up being like cannibals or something, feasting on my ass or something.
I'd want some weird creatures just running by, just random screams, gnarly looking.
Hell yeah. Yeah, like him digging up the marrow.
Yeah. Cut to the kneecap feast.
But yeah, Deadware.
Deadware.
Oh my god.
This movie was quite an interesting ride, though. It really taps into the like the 90s, like AOL type, style video chat, where you still have everybody had that weird round webcam, that was stuck to the cord, and you just plug it in USB. That's what it reminds me of, that
Oh
time,
yeah.
you know, when I used to be the Mac Daddy in the chat rooms. I remember those days very vividly.
Yeah, there was a crazy time. I think we definitely had AOL back in the late '90s. I remember it was at my aunt's. She was very clued up. She was very technically sound, so she had like new stuff, and that's also when you used to get like browsers or like internet basically from like a disk. You had to install
Yeah.
AOL on your computer so that you could connect to the internet. I
Do you
remember that.
remember they used to come? They would come in the mail, right? But they would come with like a free month or free so many hours of AOL usage. Like there was
Yep.
actually metered time for internet usage back then. It was crazy. It's like having a phone plan. You had so many minutes, and if you went over your minutes, then they start charging you out the ass.
Hell yeah.
Look at us
Uh,
now, 2025.
yeah, 2025 and internet is just everywhere. Everywhere's Wi-Fi. Everything's wired up or wireless. Yeah, no, I definitely remember those days. Back in the days of LimeWire and AIM and MSN Messenger. Those were the days.
Those were the days, man. I kind of miss those days. It was simpler times. Like it
I
was
agree.
I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like internet was so simplified then. It's not nothing near what it is today, but it was a lot simpler times. It was fun because you didn't have like social media where people, I mean, people were able to chat, I think that was like right around the time MySpace started coming around, things like that. But it wasn't what it was today because I mean, social media is what you make it, right? It can either be toxic or it can be very good. People use it for business, things like that. So I mean, there's so many things for it nowadays, but yeah, it's nothing what it was back then, what it is today, man. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy how much we've come in 20 years.
yeah. Back in the day, you would there wasn't so much reliance on internet. Everything you do in your daily life, you pretty much need some kind of internet connection, whether that is a cellular plan through your mobile provider or you have Wi-Fi. So it's just crazy, like how much it's evolved and how much we depend on it nowadays. Everything's all online. Whereas back
Yeah.
then, you still had to read books or find stuff in cereal boxes and the back of magazines and shit like that.
Google Maps didn't even exist then. Like we have to use MapQuest, print
Yep.
out the map, and then take it with you. How many trees did we waste back in the day? And now we don't
Oh
have to
yeah.
waste so many trees, man. I used to print out maps all the time to go places. Can you imagine if you were an Uber driver in the 90s trying to map out, things to go everywhere? You just had a printer in your car because you were just printing out maps. Can you imagine the bill of paper that you had?
Oh yeah. That would be insane.
Like it's like you
Imagine
can't sit
Uber.
in my front seat because I got my printer here.
Yeah.
Printer's riding shotgun.
But what's crazy as well, like taxi drivers and stuff like that. Like taxi drivers never had like maps really. They just you felt
No.
like they just knew everything. So
Yeah.
now everything's online. Anyone can really be a taxi, like Uber and Spree.
It's definitely made us a lot lazier in some certain ways, I think, and that's one of them. I think is that when I was younger, we just remembered where we had to go. We remembered where streets were, what side of town you had to go. Now you can just map it, and the map just takes you. But I feel like that's a skill that a lot of people have lost because of internet and Google Maps or Apple Maps. But in a way, it makes it easier, but it's a skill that you lose along the way. It's like a primitive skill, if I would say so. Like
Right.
trying to find your way from point A to point B, just using your wits, and now you just use Google Maps or Apple Maps.
Right. Yeah. Back in the day, you could really get lost. Now it's a lot harder to get lost. It's kind of how it feels, unless you have no signal, right? But and that's a true horror nowadays. No signal.
No signal. That
Yeah,
is
the
a true
internet's
horror.
down.
We're so reliant on cellular internet, everything, and once that's out the window, we're up shit creek without both paddles because what do you do except panic?
Exactly. But no, this was a good callback to that period in the '90s where chat rooms were prominent. In this movie, you have like the old browsers and the old sort of applications and stuff. They reference things like AIM and things like that, which it even like this came out in 2021, so I mean, it's definitely not like a, it's not like an old movie that's like now making its way in circulation. It was made to be like that, and for that, I think it was done pretty well. Like the themes of it, of it being that sort of nostalgic '90s period, was top notch.
Yeah, absolutely. And you notice little things in there that make it fit into the 90s really well. Like the guy had a whole bookshelf of books that would tell you that, you know, he spent more time reading than actually, you know, on the internet, because books were still such, you know, a good resource at that time versus the internet. So, I mean, there was a bunch of little, you know, things that made it, gave it that authentic 90s feel. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very well done. I really like it. But I really like that they started talking in the beginning about how, are you still down in San Antonio? And he's all like, yeah, I'm still down in San Antonio. I was like, hey, I'm in San Antonio.
Yeah. Yeah, I picked up that he was in San Antonio. She's in San Francisco.
San Francisco.
And what's interesting as well, when I was doing some research on Isaac Rodriguez that made the movie, he's based in Austin.
Oh wow, okay, he's just up the road a little bit.
Not too far. He's just up the road from you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Before we go down this rabbit hole too far, let's hit everybody with that synopsis, dude.
oh yeah, David, you read my mind. In 1999, two friends on a webcam chat room stumble across a mysterious browser game that may be haunted, and they discover the true secret of their friends. This movie was decent. It was well done. It follows Jay and Rachel, who are in a chat room. I guess they're two friends that kind of lost touch, and they got back in contact, which was a sort of prominent thing for the internet back in the day. It was reaching out to old friends who you may not be around as much anymore. So that's definitely where this starts. You know, you kind of get to find out a bit more about Rachel and Jay's lives. Jay's not really upfront about his. He says he lives with a roommate. Really still is with his mother.
I think that was the funniest part of the entire movie. Like that,
Yeah.
That whole thing where they heard something and like, what was that? He goes out there, Mom. As soon as he said that, I was like, this dude still lives with his mom. I was like, come on, man, you just lied to this girl. She caught you in the act. And he comes back in all cool, you know, after he's yelling at his mom. No, I'm talking to a real girl. I don't do that anymore. It's like, whoa, what were you doing?
Yeah, it kind of shows you a bit more of a side of Jay that you don't really see up until that point, where he's kind of a bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
He's kind of shouting at his mum, and up until that point, he's just been kind of a bit more sort of timid, I guess. You sort of find out a bit more later on, of course, which I think fits his character rather well.
Right.
But yeah, they're chatting. They bring up the conversation of the friend Amy, and Amy is someone who was a love interest of Jay and a friend of Rachel, so they were clearly in a circle together. They come across her on the chat room, or the online chat as well. She's online, and they see a message from her saying that she's in House of Hunger, which is what we find out to be a video game that is a bit stranger than your run-of-the-mill browser-based games, mystery games of the 90s. So.
Okay. I remember that back in the day. You can put a status that you're away, but you can also say like, I'm here, I'm there. You can put a link, whatever. Yeah. Okay.
So,
okay.
yeah,
All right.
it just said that she was in House of Hunger, or references it in some way, and then they look it up. Jay's a bit reluctant to play it, but Rachel's very gung ho about it. She seems like she's got a bit more of a fun side than Jay, for sure.
Yeah, she does.
But that laugh though, Jesus. She's got one hell of a laugh.
She's got a cackle.
It is a cackle, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's definitely a cackle. It's very cackly. Is that a word? I'm going to go with it. It's cackly.
Very cackly.
It's very cackly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an adjective.
All right, Isaac Newton.
But yeah, they come across the game. Jay's reluctant to do it. He keeps saying, "Oh, I have work in the morning," and then they get sucked into it, and he succumbs to the peer pressure. Yeah, I thought it was from a game perspective. I thought it was fairly well done, considering. Like, it's very stylized to be back in the 90s, so it definitely came across that way. So that's definitely a kudos for that one.
I liked how they went in the direction where, of course, they find out that she's in there, kind of brings them together, a mutual friend, kind of brings up the background story a bit, right? Like, she's asking him, what happened between you and Amy? You two were so close together. You two were inseparable, and then one day to the next. He didn't really give too much explanation. He just kind of said that she kind of, went her own way, he went his way, and that was that. Of course, later on in the movie, we find out more, but, that's kind of where they left it. And she even plays a prank on him, right? She goes, "Oh, I'm going to call Amy," and she, pretends to call her. And he's like, "No, don't do it." And she's all telling her, "Hey, Amy, how's it going? I'm sitting here talking to Jay. He's super sorry," and this and that, just to get a reaction to see what the look of shock on his face would be like. And
yeah, it was funny. And then she cackles.
Yeah, and then she cackles.
And, but yeah, like you kind of find a bit more about Jay's character at that point, and kind of there clearly was some bad blood, or there was, I would say, bad blood between them.
Yeah, well,
at
bad
that
fallout.
point. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, what he did was horrible, to be fair. So
yeah.
But yeah, from the books that Jay has, we kind of piece together that he's a bit of a learned man. He's a bit of a bookworm
And a spiritual man.
fucking nerd.
Fucking nerd.
But yeah, when they start to progress through the game, like he figures out that there's a lot of Buddhist practice here, and he pulls out a religious book.
Didn't they see somewhere in the game that it was talking about the 6 stages of life?
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of what it seemed like. So the 6 realms of Buddhism are the God realm, the demigod realm, or the Asura, human realm, animal realm, the hungry ghost realm, and hell. So
what's the animal realm? Like you're reincarnated as an animal?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, there's probably a lot of things like that in Buddhism, and I mean that's a prominent theme throughout. Of course, like religion is definitely one. Ghost in the Machine is brought up a few times. So those are definite themes. Relationships, each other's sort of relationships. And then we find out that the character Rachel, she's kind of, when they bring up the topic of religion, she plays it down because she says she's a realist, and
right.
You find out that she's ultimately attempted suicide.
Yeah, she's
then,
a suicide survivor.
So that's what kind of drives her into that sort of realism. But yeah, that's definitely a common theme throughout with the game, but also with the movie itself. Definitely a lot of practices and stuff around Buddhism and the hungry ghost that's is part of the machine in this case, which is a. But yeah, we sort of start with him mentioning those 6 realms, and that gets them through. And the more they progress, the more they start to see a lot of weird things, Ouija boards and catacombs and other crazy shit.
Yeah, they thought that they were doing it lightly by choosing the humanity realm or the human realm. The elevator, they press number 3 on it because they've already started the game, right? So they're already into it, choosing doors, which way to go. They've already found a secret passage after they figured out the 6 levels or realms. And it opens up to like an old, it's almost like a hospital that was like just, there was a massacre, right? Because as soon as you open it, there's stretchers that are thrown everywhere, wheelchairs, blood splattered across the floor. Like, it's just super crazy, man. It's like, what's going on here? This is supposed to be the human realm. Where are all the people? And it's just like people are gone.
Yeah, and I think it's very poignant because I feel like you think that the human realm would be like the safest or less dangerous one, but really, if you really think about it, human realm is probably one of the worst ones you can go to because
look at where we live every day, what you see on the news, what people experience, tragedies, murders,
exactly.
All kinds of things. So I mean,
I always found that to be quite funny, actually, because they're surprised. They're like, "Oh, I thought this was human realm," and it's a madhouse.
What'd you expect to see? Like a field of daisies and people just like skipping through the through the daisies, with
hugging each other.
orchestra in the background, butterflies, sunlight. Like, what kind of shit were you expecting?
Right, yeah. Yeah, I feel like they were kind of misguided there. Within the game as well, I do think that it's another point to put out there. It definitely throws back to the 90s, is that sort of nostalgic sort of VHS, DV camera video clips that we see throughout. It's also very stylized in like an analog fashion, so that it points you in the way that it is stylized in the 90s. And I really enjoyed those. I thought those scenes were really creepy. I think Isaac Rodriguez does those very well. A lot of that prominent in some of his other movies, like Mr. Creep. There's a lot of analog sort of videotape footage that happens throughout, and I think that's done really well.
Yeah, the dude's definitely got a style.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so those kind of get progressively more strange and weirder and creepier to the point where it sort of brings us back to, I guess, inhumane things that Jay has done to Amy, which involved him, hacking into her accounts, blocking her family, and sort of making her depend on him, which was, horrific in its own. And, clearly Rachel's mad. And another poignant part that does come up is when they receive like a feed basically of Amy's room, and there's just paintings everywhere and it's empty, so he goes to sort of break in, and it clips to sort of video like sort of hidden cam footage of him like shouting at Amy.
Yeah, where he was basically talking down to her that that hopefully that she dies and he's tired of her, and you're just saying the ugliest things to somebody. Like, yeah, it was really bad. Like, and she's just like looking at him like horrified, like, this is not the person that I know. We talked to somebody about this, about how, and I think it was a meal that we talked to, where outside of your environment, your house, inside your four walls, you're a certain way, but when you come into your own personal space, you are who you really are.
Right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It was a meal. It's very prominent here. You can see sort of Amy's room is all covered in all these paintings of Rachel. She's clearly gone down like over the edge. I mean, arguably Jay's pushed her there.
Right.
She may have been unwell. She may have had some mental issues,
mental health issues. Yeah.
Right, and pairing that with things like isolation and religion and really the early stages of the internet, it kind of lends itself to this type of story happening. Not that it would really happen in terms of demon haunted game, but the outcome of it is more so what would happen. And one thing I kind of thought of after watching it again was, and it never really answers this question, but was it Amy that made House of Hunger, or did she discover it?
I think there was hints that she made it, but because there was her website where it was like a blog site or something, and at the bottom there was a link to it, and then there was some information regarding the game. But a lot of things, like the paintings in her room, when they get to that scene where they're kind of like in an art gallery, one of the paintings appears there, things like that, which leads you to believe that if she didn't create it, she definitely added to it or something like that. But I remember at some point Jay was saying that she got really like into occult stuff, so it kind of seems like maybe that was added to it, and somehow this game got some sort of entity, evil spirit inside of it, something like that, and this is what was created.
Right. Yep. No, that's a very good point. And again, it kind of the main theme throughout the ghost in the machine, that sort of ethos of that is very prominent in this. So there's some good jump scares as well. When they're going through and they get to that elevator, when it pops, when the figure pops out, and he's like, "Oh, that was Amy." That was a good scare.
They started noticing that when this thing would pop out in these little analog segments, that little by little the face started showing more and more, and they started realizing, hey, is that Amy? And then eventually they get to a full face, and that is Amy. Then we start getting to the Ouija board. They start, communicating with whatever they're communicating with, and eventually it spells out. They ask who they're talking to, and it's Amy. I've been dead for a year, things like that. So it's definitely got some creepy spots to it until Mom ruined the game.
And one thing I thought of as well, and I mentioned was, I think, a funny part, and maybe this wasn't the right context, but for me, I think a really funny part would have been like after the credits, because Jay's obviously disappeared. He's left this game on. That his mum walks in his room and she saunters over and she's like, "Oh, House of Hunger," and like clicks on it. I think that would have been funny.
That would have been good, right? Nosy mom just comes in.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, considering the fact that he like left his door open and then clearly all the screaming and all that, like that would have been a funny little sort of thing at the end.
After credit scene.
Right, yeah. I'm a sucker for after credit scenes, so.
Oh yeah. They're nice, dude.
It was done well. I enjoyed it. There was some elements I wasn't a huge fan of. The acting, it wasn't great. With found footage movies, it just felt a bit more dramatic from the delivery of it. Not necessarily like the story wise, but like just the reaction was a bit more over the top. Not a huge deal.
A lot of these found footage movies are made from literally nothing, right? Some have a budget, some just have a few cameras and the weekend, things like that. So that's kind of why we enjoy found footage, right? It's like making something out of nothing. You put all this hard work and effort into it and make what you make. It may not resonate with everyone, the way that it resonated with others, but I mean, there's definitely some good parts in it, the acting, like you said, it wasn't Jay with his eye, reactions and shit like that. That annoyed the shit out of me. Like, I wanted to slap him at some point, but it didn't ruin the movie for me. I enjoyed every other part. I enjoyed the whole 90s feel going through webcam. It kind of took you back to that nostalgic period, and then of course all the jump scares. And if anybody's ever played like a hidden object game or some kind of horror game, I mean, this is right up your alley, because it's very much that, right? It's horror inside of a game, and a very simplified, hidden object game. So it was a lot of fun. Despite that, everything else was really well done, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and overall, I really did like it. It was a fun watch, and I definitely implore people to watch it. One another sort of point, the ending, the way it kind of ended abruptly, with Rachel sort of getting attacked off screen and then she's suddenly in the game, like that was a bit kind of like fell flat a bit for me. But
yeah,
I loved the nostalgic feel of it. It was a fun game-based found footage movie, horror movie, which was overall a lot of fun. It was well thought out,
and it really adds to that list of screenlife movies that are out there today. There's a very good amount of them that
absolutely. I think for me, one of the best, or one of my favourite sort of screenlife movies, and it's kind of a bit of a slow burn, and it was made early 2000s, was the Collingswood Story. That's a very good screenlife movie, which for anyone that hasn't seen it, definitely check it out, Tubi or whatnot. That's definitely one that I think this Deadware movie closely resembles that a bit. There's also Host. Host is another great. That's probably one of the best examples of screen life. That
right
and Unfriended are prominent in the screen life.
Spree
movies. Spree is another great one. Honestly, a lot of Eugene's movies are very screen life oriented. So even ones that are not less horror. Like the code when I went to go see it, it was very much ingrained in screen life. Everything was all hidden cameras, mobile devices. It's funny, it kind of amplifies the level or the quality of the different cameras as the movie goes along. So I was
actually looking up earlier, screen life movies. Maybe some that I wasn't too familiar with. Open Window was or Open Windows is actually a screen life one, and that's Elijah Wood and Sasha Grey. It's 2014, I believe, and that one was I hadn't seen that one in years. I probably saw that in 2014, so I've completely forgotten about it.
Dude, I have that on Blu-ray. It's a great one. For me, I really enjoyed it. I think that was done very well. Elijah Wood's great in it. Sasha Grey's good in it as well. She wasn't really known for her acting.
I mean, she was known for her acting, but it was alternate acting.
Yes, yeah, that's a nice way of putting it, David. Alternate acting, but yeah, that's another great example. And then there's Searching and Missing are two that are very much prominent screen life ones.
Yeah, those are actually some of the newer ones that have come out in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and it's good. Like I think a lot more of cinema nowadays is sort of coming around to that idea.
And of course, the weird ones like Megan is Missing.
Yeah,
and
that
then
definitely has a lot of screen life in it. You're right.
and then one that it kind of annoyed the shit out of me, and I think it annoyed a lot of people. But we'll talk to that when we get to that one. Is Dashcam.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are annoyed about Dashcam. Another one that came out literally like a couple of weeks ago was Demon on Found TV. That's a screen life one that sort of mirrors this as well. Guy plays a game, game's haunted. He's on a chat, catch up with friends. There's religious overtones. So I see a lot of Deadware is what I do with Demon. So that's another example. I enjoyed that one as well.
I also noticed that there was one that came out in 2023. I've never seen it. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Live Screamers.
No, I never saw it. No.
Yeah, that's one that's out that's supposed to be Screen Life. That's definitely one that I put down to check out. Also, the Dan Ratter. I've never seen Ratter before. I've never even heard of that one.
There's a prominent Screen Life category on Found TV, which is the prominent theme in today's episode. As we picked this as our Found TV Blind Watch special. So definitely check that out on Found TV. And another thing as well, when we announced that we were doing Deadware, Emil reached out and mentioned that specifically Isaac Rodriguez was a huge influence on him for making Winemaker.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was really excited to hear that we were talking about this. Specifically, A Town of Ghosts, which is another movie by Isaac Rodriguez, was one of his inspirations. So
interesting. I saw that one a while back.
Yeah, I never saw that one, but I did see Unknown Visitor. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yeah,
David.
that one I did see too. That one was very weird. Like it was very creepy because I mean, how many times would you look out into your Ring camera and somebody's at your door and somebody you don't recognize, somebody that looks sinister, creepy. That's just tickling at your phobias at that point. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Another one again. I think I mentioned it earlier was Mr. Creep. That's probably my favorite Isaac Rodriguez movie. That one was done well for me. It was creepy, man. That clown fucking thing was creepy as fuck. And then a lot of the analog stuff, videotapes, VHS, and all that. I'm a sucker for that. So whenever that's in a movie, and it feels very nostalgic to me.
But yeah, I mean, Isaac's made some really good films. So I actually wouldn't mind, if we could ever get him on for an interview. We could try and see in the future. But it would definitely be awesome to get him on for a tape talk.
I think now's probably a good time where we can announce our next tape talks, where we'll be talking with Zach and Mike, who are the filmmakers behind the movie Jim's Room. That's going to be our next tape talk, so stay tuned for that.
Yes, indeedy.
Yeah, definitely let us know your thoughts on tape talks.
Well, let's not waste any more time. Let's get down to brass tacks, man. Let's rate this sucker.
Hell yeah. David, do you want to do the honors?
Yes, sir. So, aside from the over-the-top acting, things like that, like I said, this movie was really well done. Again, playing off of a found footage movie of, with the bare minimum, making something great. And even at that, they added onto it because they gave the browser windows of the 90s and things like that old nostalgic feeling. I really feel like this one deserves 4 tapes. I really do. I think that Isaac did really well with this one. I quite enjoyed it.
That's a great score. For me, I definitely enjoyed it. I enjoyed really the main points that kind of stood out to me were mainly the ending just kind of fell flat. But overall, it was a good watch, and I really really enjoyed it. There was definitely parts that I really did like. I think the characters were good. So for me, I'd probably give it about 3 tapes.
Solid score.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
can see that. If they had done the ending, if he had done the ending a little bit differently to where, where you saw Rachel get killed, and maybe Amy walking by at the end, or standing over her body or something like that. You either find the key, you get out, or you don't, and you become part of the game, or your soul becomes, trapped there forever. And essentially, that's what happened. They didn't make it out. They didn't finish the game. Both got sucked in.
I liked the concepts, and I liked the attention to detail, and I liked the nostalgic feel of it. So yeah, three tapes for me. But yeah, if you want to watch out Deadware, as well as many other screenlife and found footage movies, be sure to check out Found TV. You can find them on Instagram at WatchFoundTV. And as well, if you end up going to Found and you're looking to get yourself a subscription, we have a promo code for a few bucks off a yearly subscription. If you enter the code "We Found a Tape," all one word.
If you don't want to get any more blue pill commercials, get the ad-free version. And like John said, you can get a few bucks off using the promo code "We Found a Tape."
But yeah, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of We Found a Tape. We hope you enjoyed. Check out Deadware if you haven't already. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, We Found a Tape. You can listen on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. All at We Found a Tape.
Go like, subscribe, all that good social media stuff if you check us out. That would really help us out. You can even leave comments on Spotify too for the episodes. We like any feedback. You can also leave us feedback on Instagram as well. Other than that, don't forget, be kind, rewind. See you later.